Yo, 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 my dude. Okay, now we're really drifting. Because honestly, man, the deeper I get into this imagination thing, the more I think human beings have been lied to a little bit about what reality even is. Like we're taught reality is this fixed, solid, concrete thing. Bills, schedules, traffic, work, responsibilities, news, stress, boom, boom, boom. Very rigid, very. This is reality. But then music happens, or love happens, or grief happens, or some weird synchronicity happens. And suddenly all that solid reality shit starts feeling a lot more fluid. And dude, imagination is part of that fluidity. That's why people get uncomfortable around it sometimes. Because imagination threatens certainty. And certainty is addictive, man. People love certainty, even miserable certainty. But imagination says, yo, what if there's more? That's dangerous to rigid systems. And honestly, dude, I think that's why artists have always been a little weird to society. Not because they are broken, but because they spend time wandering around invisible territory. A musician hears songs that don't exist yet. A painter sees images floating in empty space. A writer hears conversations before they happen. That's fucking wild when you think about it. And somehow, we all just agreed that's normal. But maybe it should feel mystical. Maybe creativity is mystical, not supernatural necessarily, just deeply connected to the unseen layers of being. Because where the hell does a melody even come from, dude? Seriously, you can study scales all day long, and suddenly, one little emotional phrase appears out of nowhere, and it hits your heart like lightning. That ain't mechanical. That's consciousness dancing with itself. Yo, and speaking of dancing, life itself kinda moves like improvisation. You think you're heading one direction, then boom, something changes. A person enters your life. A person leaves your life. A random conversation changes your perspective. A song hits you at exactly the right moment. And suddenly the whole emotional landscape shifts. That's why I keep saying, my dude, life feels more musical than mechanical. Themes repeat, feelings echo, certain lessons keep returning, wearing different costumes. Yo, and honestly, sometimes the universe has a sense of humor too. Like you'll spend years resisting some lesson, and eventually life's like, okay, my dude, here it is again, but now with different haircuts. And dude, that's another reason imagination matters. Because imagination helps us loosen our grip on rigid identity. It lets us become. That's huge, because a lot of suffering comes from people thinking, this is just who I am forever. But imagination whispers, nah man, there are other versions of you still trying to emerge. A softer you, a braver you, a freer you, a calmer you, a more forgiving you, a more creative you. And dude, sometimes you gotta emotionally visit that future version before you fully know how to become it. That's where pretend gets real interesting. Because maybe you're not faking confidence. Maybe you're tending toward it. Maybe you're not faking peace. Maybe you're watering peace. Maybe you're not pretending to heal. Maybe healing has already started invisibly before the outer world fully reflects it. That's beautiful, man. And honestly, nature works this way too. Seeds spend a long time underground before anything shows up on the surface. And if you judged the process too early, you'd think nothing was happening. But below the surface, movement, preparation, transformation. Same thing with consciousness. Some of the biggest changes in life happen invisibly first. A shift in perspective, a release, a new openness, a tiny little crack where light starts getting in again. That matters, even if nobody else sees it yet. And dude, this is why wonder matters so damn much. Wonder keeps consciousness flexible. The second people become fully certain, they understand everything. They stop listening. And honestly, the mystery is half the beauty. Music knows this too. That's why unresolved chords can feel emotional, why ambient music can feel spiritual, why certain melodies seem to float outside of time. They leave space. And dude, space is sacred. Modern life gives people almost no space anymore. Constant stimulation, constant scrolling, constant outrage, constant noise. So when somebody suddenly encounters something slow, peaceful, wandering, it can almost feel uncomfortable at first, like the nervous system forgot how to exhale. But then, if they stay with it long enough, something softens. And honestly, my dude, I think that softening is important. Because beneath all the roles, all the stress, all the identities, most human beings are just trying to reconnect with some sense of aliveness again. Not perfection, not domination, not endless achievement. Aliveness. That feeling of, damn, it's good to be here. And sometimes imagination helps us remember that. Because imagination reconnects us with possibility. And possibility carries energy. That's why hopelessness feels so heavy. Hopelessness collapses possibility. But imagination quietly reopens windows. Maybe not instantly, maybe not dramatically, but enough. Enough for a little light to return. Enough for a little curiosity. Enough for a little movement. And movement matters. Even tiny movement. A new thought. A new song. A new perspective. A new emotional opening. That's life continuing to flow. And dude, I honestly think consciousness wants to flow. We suffer when we calcify. That's why music heals people sometimes. Because music moves, emotion moves, energy moves, breath moves, rhythm moves. Even the damn planets move. Everything alive moves somehow. And imagination might be one of the ways consciousness keeps itself from getting spiritually stuck. Not escaping reality, expanding reality. That's the key difference. And honestly, my dude, gentle things, music, kindness, laughter, late night conversations, silence, ocean waves, stars. A single, beautiful sentence arriving at the exact right moment. That stuff matters more than people think. And maybe imagination belongs on that list too. Maybe imagination is one of the sacred, soft forces holding human beings together, while we drift through this weird, beautiful mystery, trying to remember who the hell we really are. Yo, yo, yo. And maybe that remembering starts long before the flower blooms. Maybe it starts the second we begin tending the invisible field. Solok.